sorry. I just did a lot of things today, and my phone is going to run out of battery early, right? And so it's currently 5:47. Usually I would go live in about an hour, and there's just not enough time for the battery to replenish itself. So we're gonna get to this. We're gonna get to this thing a little early. I am 3+Kei. I'm here to encourage you to pursue the smile by prioritizing the Lord, your physical health, and persistent education. Hey, Sherry. And this space is called the Secret Heart Club. I haven't tuned the ukulele. My bad, but let's get into it anyway. Welcome to the Secret Heart Club, everyone. Everyone does our part to bring love, be loved. Hey, we love Jesus at the Secret Heart Club. I thought we'd do a little Bible roulette. Currently, my favorite thing going. Because it's like, go get you a little piece of the word today. Do a little deep dive into that word. Share it with others. Invite people to talk about their perceptions. And then wrap that thing on up. I like it. I like it a lot. I do want to say, I came across a lady today. I'm trying not to, I know it's hard time, so I don't want to be controversial. I came across a lady today, and she was telling me that she has 6 kids, because I was trying to give her some donuts. She was like, yes, I have 6 kids, and I was telling her, I gave her some Pursue the Smile merch and told her, by taking the merch and broadcasting it, you're supporting the foundation of a Christian group home coming to this area. And she said, hi Mary, or Mari, I was in the foster care system, and as soon as my kids are grown, I intend on fostering. And I said, well, you could foster now. And she's like, well, the maximum is 7, and I have 6 kids, and we live in a 3-bedroom apartment. And so what even started this conversation is I just had, I don't know what I had, maybe like an extra, I had something. And I asked her if she could use it. And she said, there's a homeless man that lives in her parking spot. She gave up her parking spot in her apartment building so a man could live there, and anything I give her, she will give to him or give to her children. And so I thought that was just a really cool outlook. And remember the other day, I don't know who's here from Saturday, when we did a kindness shenanigan and passed out like these really tasty pops, Dr. Pepper cream sodas. But 2 of them slipped out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have something for you. I want to give this to you, because you're already on like the kindness shenanigans part. Anyway, we chatted for a little bit, and the last thing she said was, God bless you. And it's just like, man, we out here. Like, you never know when you're talking to a brother or sister in Christ. And I'm not talking about the people who wear the cross on their, you know what I mean? Like they have the cross and they announce it, and, or, 2 people had passed by and they have badges on, and it's like, oh, so you're trying to distinguish yourself, and meanwhile, here's this lady with 6 kids who can't wait to raise more children with her love in her household, even though she's like clearly poor and broke. And I just like, I love that. It puts me to shame a little bit. There's somebody, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay. I like my neighborhood. Um, Whenever, over the summer we had kind of like a homeless problem and people have campers and they would come to our neighborhood because I live right next to a park. And like, I didn't report them, but like, I knew somebody in the neighborhood isn't gonna like go for that. And, a couple days later, for sure, like the camper's gone because somebody reported them. And so, and I'm just being honest. I would never, I never want to come off as like, I'm with the Lord and so I never judge people. I don't want to, and I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying like where I'm at with that. And then there's somebody not like across the street. I don't know why it's like this. Like across the street and down the street a little bit, I noticed there's a car there, and the reason why the car sticks out, I mean, there's like trash around the car and blankets all in the windows and stuff like that. And I don't live in the type of neighborhood like it stands out. Anyway, the door was open today and I was on a walk and I looked in the back seat and a woman is there just kind of like nodded off. And my thought process was, I gotta move. Like, I think that quite a bit. Like, I gotta move. And I remember talking to my therapist, right, who clears over 6 figures or whatever. And she's like, well, I don't care. I'm sure where we live, there's all sorts of people walking around by our house. And it's just like, it's not even, I just want peace. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would like to, and so I wonder sometimes where is the tension? Because there's definitely a group of people that's like, people deserve homes and we should all be mingling together. And I mean, I'll be honest, like, I want peace and I want peace in my neighborhood. And I don't want to think I'm going to get robbed or I don't want to be exposed to people nodding off and this kind of thing. And before anybody judges me, I'm a social worker, so I already am like shoulder deep in society. You know what I mean? Like I already, you know what I mean? And when I go home and when I'm walking around my neighborhood, I don't want to have to look behind me or feel like I have to be armed or and I just wonder what the tension is with that. You know what I mean? Like where is it okay to be like, I work hard and want to live in a neighborhood that has like the lowest level of crime possible? Do you know what I mean? And I get it that some people live in high crime areas, and those people too should be allowed the opportunity to get out of those neighborhoods if they want to. Hi Scott. Dylan is not having fun. Dylan's probably long gone by now. Sherry says the birds of the air have nest and the foxes have holes, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. You have to use discernment in those situations. I agree. There is nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I mean, and And then with the lady that's kind of like nodded out, I'm not going up to you. I don't know what else you have going on. I don't think it's, do you know what I mean? And so what you gotta, but my whole point is like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel a little bad for thinking like that. But again, like you at a certain point, like once you become an adult, you can kind of choose where you want to live. So for instance, I grew up in the suburbs with the green manicured lawns and the no trash. Like there was always street sweepers once a week, clean. To this day, I don't enjoy going to urban areas because it's just like a lot of litter and a lot of like shut down places and stuff like that. And I think that's okay. So if I want to live in a nicer area, then I just have to like work harder to keep it. But it's a little alarming and upsetting to me that the neighborhood I currently live in, like I made it to the middle class, right? The neighborhood I live in is starting to show signs of decline. And I feel a little bit bad saying it. You know. Sherry said, once you become a Christian, you're awake to the enemy and he knows who we are. At least he should. Yeah. Oh, we're at 10%. We're airing early, guys, because here's the truth. I had to use my hotspot very frequently today. Tomorrow I will be on the road. So prayerfully, I said we're gonna live stream one way or another, but it might be from a hotel room. It might, I don't know what. All I'm saying is tomorrow I don't know what the live stream is going to look like at all. I have no clue. I could tell you how I want it to look. But this will be the first. Oh, we've live streamed from when on the road before. We live streamed from Stevensville. It was actually one of the higher live streams because my friend's son and his best friend, what do you call it when somebody barges into the room? They wouldn't leave me alone. They wouldn't leave me alone. And then they wanted to talk about Jesus. Remember River, that kid, 13-year-old River? And then I gave him, hey, Randy. I gave him my very best, I gave him a $300 Bible, River. I need to check in on. We should check in on River. You know, because he was having a hard time in life. His mom had the cancer and everything he was talking about. And then my friend's son, Casey, we all know Casey. I don't know if they're still friends. You know, Casey started football. I've been tracking that, live streaming his games and stuff. So, all right, you guys ready? We're gonna do a little Bible roulette. All right. You know how it goes. Turning it. This is the Bible. Oops. We're gonna put one finger right. It'll be right here. And then we're gonna use this hand. And let's go on this page today. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Right here. What's going on here? We're in Ezra. of all places. What y'all know about Ezra? We actually hit... I'm going to tell you where I landed. This is some... I don't want to call it tomfoolery. But it's kind of like, Lord, what are we doing? So my finger landed in Ezra 4, chapter 4, verse 11. And it's a letter to King Artaxerxes. So I see we're wanting to struggle read today. I see the Lord wants me to go ahead. All that I just said, this is how the Lord is funny. If y'all don't know. If y'all don't know. Jesus. Sometimes he will humble you in an unexpected way. So I just went on this whole tangent about how I want to live in a better neighborhood. I deserve it. I went ahead to go play some Bible roulette. Read some scripture with you guys, and the Lord went ahead and gave me something to struggle read with. I hear ya. I hear ya. Like, oh, you think you're so smart, Lakitha? Read this. Here we go. Ezra 4. This is to King Artaxerxes. To King Artaxerxes, from your servants, the men of Trans-Euphrates. The king should know that the Jews who came up to us from you have gone to Jerusalem and are rebuilding that rebellious and wicked city. They are restoring the walls and repairing the foundations. Furthermore, the king should know that if this city is built and its walls are restored, no more taxes, tribute, or duty will be paid, and the royal revenues will suffer. Now, since we are under obligation to the palace and it is not proper for us to see the king dishonored, we are sending this message to inform the king so that a search may be made in the archives of your predecessors. In these records, you will find that this city is a rebellious city, troublesome to kings and provinces, a place of rebellion from ancient times. That is why this city was destroyed. We inform the king that if this city is built and its walls are restored, you will be left with nothing in Trans-Euphrates. Let's get some context. Randy says, sorry I missed all your other videos. That's okay, Randy. You know, you are welcome here anytime. If any of y'all are wondering, Randy is 10 and Levi is a Christian. That's one thing we know. Let's learn about, I don't know where Levi is though, sweetie. Ezra. This is the book of Ezra, vital statistics. The purpose of Ezra, the book, is to show God's faithfulness and the way he kept his promise to restore the people to their land. I don't know what's going on. What does that mean? Let's look at the timeline first. Do you guys know what's up with Ezra? You ever read Ezra? I only read it one time because I knew a little boy named Ezra. And I wanted to know why his parents named him that. So I read Ezra. And then they're not Christians. They just like the name. All right. So in 586 BC, Jerusalem was destroyed and the exiles go to Babylon. 539, Babylon is overthrown by Cyrus. I have a nephew named Cyrus. Poppy! Just saying hi. My father-in-law is still here. Bring him on. Bring Poppy here. Bring Papa Poppy. Have Papa Poppy pop up. You know, Ben said, if ever I had a son, I would have named him Ezra. Well, look at that. Time's still ticking, Ben. Time's still ticking. You got a good 40 years left for your son, Ezra. Pablo! Why is everybody popping in tonight? Everybody's popping in tonight. Hey, Pablo. Hola. In 538, 1 year later, the exiles returned to Jerusalem. 2 years after that, the temple work begins. 6 years after that, 530 BC, the temple work is halted. 20 years after that, the temple work is resumed. So why was the temple work, is this what we're kind of talking about? The temple work was paused for a full 10 years as the messages of Haggai and Zechariah. And then 516, in 536, the temple work began. 20 years later, 516 BC, the temple is completed. In 458, which is quite some time later, Ezra comes to Jerusalem, and 445, Nehemiah comes to Jerusalem. So I'm just trying to piece this together, what actually is going on right now. Can we get, and this is really for y'all, this is Ezra 4 verse 11, for those of you who want to get into it later. Like I said, I haven't read Ezra. I read the Bible once a year, but as far as like deep dives, what does this mean? Who is this person? Ezra, the Ezra era was 5 years ago. And I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I forgot Ezra was even in here like that. So I'm kind of struggling with what is actually going on, what this letter means. Let's bring it all the way back to the beginning of chapter 4. Let me see. Pablo says, okay, es noche, it's nighttime. Pase para saludarte. I don't know what that means. Sherry says, the reason why it took so long is the chosen people were rebellious. Oh, and that's what they kind of said. That's what they were kind of saying. Thanks for filling that in. Because the people wrote this letter to King Artaxerxes. Let's read it again. The people were rebellious. They did the temple. So the people wrote to King Artaxerxes, from your servants, the men of Trans-Euphrates, the king should know that the Jews who came up to us from you have gone to Jerusalem and are rebuilding that rebellious and wicked city. They are restoring the walls and repairing the foundations. Furthermore, the king should know that if this city is built and its walls are restored, no more taxes, tribute, or duty will be paid, and the royal revenues will suffer. Now, since we are under obligation to the palace, and it is not proper for us to see the king dishonored, we are sending this message to inform the king so that a search may be made in the archives of your predecessors. In these records, you will find that this city is a rebellious city, troublesome to kings and provinces, a place of rebellion from ancient times. That is why the city was destroyed in the first place. We inform the king that if this city is built and its walls are restored, you will be left with nothing in Trans-Euphrates. So there's an additional part here starting in verse 17, where the king replies. You want to hear what the king has to say? Because his people, King Artaxerxes, his people were like, them folks over in Jerusalem are building, they're rebuilding that city and doing a thing. And if you allow that to happen with all that rebelliousness, it's just going to keep on keeping on. And that's not good for you. You're not going to make any money. So I'm still trying to piece this together. And while I'm piecing it together, this is a really good time to tell you I am not a Bible teacher. I love to tell you guys that because at no point do I want you to be like, well, Lakeitha said. Also, did you know we are on a faith walk together? And it is a healthy thing to get in your word, to open up your word and question and be like, what does this mean? And go look for answers. Like the Bible itself, God's word, isn't meant for you to like open it. Oh, okay, I get that. Like a magic eight ball, is that what those are called? The black things, you shake it up and you get the answer. The word isn't, it's not meant for that. This is like the living, breathing word. Like this is God himself. So you're meant to kind of like just, some people are like, hey, 3+Kei, do you have a dog? Or whatever. You're supposed to interact with the Lord like that too. Like, what does this mean? So I just wanted to stop and say this is a special moment, because usually I have some type of knowledge of what I'm talking about typically, and the concept of Bible roulette is just such, and that we all get into it together. Sherry says, they were worshiping other gods, and God put them in captivity to protect them. God was starting to return to God. All right, let's see what Artaxerxes had to say to the people who were like, look at what they're doing over there. The king sent this reply to Rehum, Rehum. Struggle reading. To Rehum, the commanding officer. Oh, come on. Are you guys reading this with me? Are you guys reading this with me? Fine. We're in Ezra 4, verse 17. The king sent this reply to Rehum, the commanding officer, Shimshai, the secretary, and the rest of their associates living in Samaria and elsewhere in Trans-Euphrates. Greetings. The letter you sent us has been read and translated in my presence. I issued an order and a search was made, and it was found that this city has a long history of revolt against kings and has been a place of rebellion and sedition. Jerusalem has had powerful kings ruling over the whole of Trans-Euphrates, and taxes, tribute, and duty were paid to them. Now issue an order to these men to stop work so that this city will not be rebuilt until I so order. Be careful not to neglect this matter. Why let this threat grow to the detriment of the royal interests? As soon as a copy of the letter of King Artaxerxes was read to Rehum and Shimshai, the secretary, and their associates, they went immediately to the Jews in Jerusalem and compelled them by force to stop. Thus, the work on the house of God in Jerusalem came to a standstill until the second year of the reign of Darius, king of Persia. Sherry says they got tired of being under bondage and God was starting to restore them. This is pretty crazy. It makes you kind of think, oh, we should probably do do a Ezra Bible study at some point. Okay. Let's just read. I'm just going to read the chapter up until this point. Okay. Oh, there we go. Oh, the return led by Zerubbabel. I wish we had a little. Okay, so we have the return led by Zerubbabel. The first group of exiles returned to the land. Okay. And then what? And then what? The list of the exiles who returned. Definitely not reading that. If you want to struggle read, go ahead and read that part. The people rebuild the temple. They're rebuilding the altar. And then there's opposition to the rebuilding. And that's chapter 4. And that's what we're seeing is like kind of the snitches being like, yo, look what they're doing in, look what they're doing. They're rebuilding the temple. You need to stop that. Later opposition under Xerxes and Artaxerxes. Yup. The people ain't with it. And then chapter 5, Tatanai's letter to Darius. Because it's about to go down, right? And then the decree of Darius. This is chapter 6. I don't really know what Darius is on, but it's about to go down apparently. And then look at this. It don't matter what y'all are trying to do, because in chapter 6 we see the completion and dedication of the temple, and then the celebration of the Passover, and then after that we have the return led by Ezra. So we didn't even get to Ezra. Ezra doesn't even get to Ezra until chapter 6 part B. So look at that. Sherry says, this shows, along with other books of this time, how much God loved his people and wants to save them. They knew they could not contend with them because with God they were indestructible. This was good. Y'all like this? Can I tell you, the Bible Roulette videos do substantially better than other videos. I'm not sure why, but it's fun. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you go. I have to pack. And then stay tuned for tomorrow. You know, I don't want to guarantee a hot mess, but when I go out of town, if you guys haven't noticed, hot messery tends to ensue because nothing's predictable, no matter how much I try to control the situation. Right? There's always something. There's like a llama in the background, teenage boys busting down the door. Right? Somebody random who's like not supposed to, some guy named Jim who's 83 that I just met. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's always can we please, I'll just say this. Can we please have a normal out of town live stream tomorrow, guys? Can we work on that? So I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Okay? We're going to be at a desk or somewhere normal. Okay? There will be no goats. I hope at least one of you guys are convinced. I'll see you tomorrow at some point from somewhere doing something, and what I can guarantee is that it'll be about Jesus. Okay? I don't know. Talk to you later. Thanks for coming along the journey.